And
okay, are we live? We're going live. Hello,
That is a hell of an
everybody.
intro.
It's a good intro. Chase made it here as we were going live in the midst of it. Attaboy.
Well, I had to figure out how to email the link to myself and then get it to open and then make all that on the desktop.
Well,
yeah, you don't actually need the link. You're an admin, so you just have to sign in.
Okay, hey, wait, not important, guys.
Not really important at all for the podcast.
Talk about it later. The listeners probably don't give a shit. But
anyways, hey, Joel, how's it going?
It's good. How you been? How's Toronto?
So, it's good. It's fun. I wouldn't live there.
Mm-hmm. So just to update everyone else listening to you guys talk already here. Chase, you're in Toronto right now, or you were in Toronto?
I just got back from Toronto here.
Just got back from Toronto, where Joel, our guest today, is the guy who took the truck down there.
That's right. We took the truck in and we did some throttle mapping and a little bit of test driving. So we mapped in the throttle to how I feel like it should perform, and so it kind of accelerates more like a diesel truck. We mapped it linearly and just linearly the throttle, and we realized later we had programmed too much of a delay in the throttle response. It was like a 1 second delay in throttle, and now we got it down to like 0.1 of a second, which is a much nicer throttle delay.
So have they done much for like dyno testing, like what horsepower we figured stuff out?
That's probably still about another month off.
Okay.
So we're going to be doing generator testing here hopefully next week. I think they're doing that, like see how the batteries charge, see how the batteries are doing while they're being in the charging. That should take about 2 weeks. We're hoping to have that wrapped up by like mid-October. After that, we'll be doing some driving, drive the battery down, drive it back up, and we're going to be taking it to the test facility. It sounds like we might be taking it to the same test facility that did Project Arrow, that passenger car. So that would be really cool. They've got like a full-on government test facility, test shop there. From there, we're going to be taking it over and then hopefully do some dynoing. I think we got to take it to another dyno facility. I don't think they got one that can put the tandems up on there, but there's enough big rig power places in Toronto that we can take her up there.
And that's pretty cool. Before I want to talk to Joel here. Joel's the guy who drove it down, obviously. But before we get into that, we ended off last episode talking about an award situation, and I got pretty steaming, but I wanted the details from you on that. I don't know if you want to talk.
You know what? Let's not raise my blood pressure.
No, we're leaving it.
We're leaving that fucking thing.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, can we at least talk about your voicemail or no?
Oh yeah, my voicemail was unprofessional, but you know what? We had a good talk with some larger investors, people that. Hey.
Oh boy, we lost Chase.
The live is going so smooth.
Oh boy, I bet June Chase's dog was probably in there doing something.
Yeah, I don't know if we play the voicemail without him. Probably
Chase is back here. He's back. Okay.
Well, that
guy's on the side of the mountain right now. Holy.
No, right. There we go.
Yeah.
My dog ran in all excited and just ripped everything out of the computer setup. The cord.
I called that.
Yeah. No, I thought I had the door closed, but it wasn't quite closed. So she like busted it in, came in at full speed.
So Theron's got your voicemail, and we want to show everyone, see what they think of it.
Wait, hold on, Chase. You just started saying there. Now my dog's doing the same thing. You were just saying that you talked to some larger investors about it first, and they said what?
They like what we're doing. They're like, don't change what you're doing. Like we've been debating a lot on that professionalism. Be like, well, we've heard back for some people that wanted to buy a truck, and they're like, well, I really don't know if Edison Motors is professional enough. And then talking to some relatively larger players in Toronto, and they said basically, fuck those guys. They're like, whatever you're doing is working. Like he was talking like before a meeting with us, he just overheard the other table talking about Edison Motors, and like these finance people in downtown Toronto were all talking about Edison Motors. So he's like, whatever you're doing is working. People are genuinely talking and getting really, really excited. don't listen to anybody that says you guys aren't professional enough or you're working out of a tiny tent. He's like, the way they should be looking at it, and like the way we talked and the way it made sense, he's like, they shouldn't be looking at it like, oh, fuck those guys who working out of a tiny little tent. Like, who takes them seriously? What they should be saying is, holy crap, look what these guys did in a tent on a dirt floor. I wonder what they're going to do if we can get them an actual production shop. Like, that's the way they should be thinking, not...
Yeah.
Like,
We talked about it in text, Chase. They were like, some of the old boys in the industries really don't get it.
They don't get social media.
Yeah.
It's what I found out is like a lot of these companies are run by, for lack of a better word, Joe Biden types. Like just old dusty boomers that should not do not want to let go of the reins of control. Like, guys, you've got like a bunch of 80-year-olds. Like, tell them to like move on, retire, go down to Cabo, let the kids look after it.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well,
So
it's
sorry,
Darren, go ahead.
Just to clarify there, you were just saying that this guy you talked to was just at a random place and he randomly overheard some...
No, this was a dedicated meeting, but we have NDAs in place, so I can't talk too much about it.
But you said he overheard people talking about it.
Yeah, he was just out for dinner and heard the table next to him talking about Edison Motors, and like,
That's cool.
we went out in Toronto, and I wouldn't think we'd be recognized in Toronto, but we're out having some drinks, and 2 people came up and be like, "Are you the Edison Motors guy?" And we were talking to them. 2 more people came up, and there was 4 people all talking about like, just recognize this in a random little tiki bar.
It's crazy.
It is.
Okay.
So
I was at the bar in
whatever we're doing is
Minnedosa.
working.
In my little small town, I had the same hat as Joel here. And sorry, bug Chase about this one. I was a little tipsy. But I had the little Edison logo. It's the tiny little black one in a dark bar. And someone came across the bar. I was like, Edison Motors, started going off and like how much you loved it and everything. We had a huge chat. And it was like, how did someone see that little logo across the bar and be like, that guy, Edison, gotta talk to him?
That's crazy. That's
That is
awesome.
crazy.
So
And I was drunk texting Chase to give me a phone call. I was like, call the boys. The boys want to see you.
You're like
So
calling me, and I'm like laying in bed, and like Jordan's one of like, normally my phone stays on silent 100% of the time, except for like you guys can like bypass my ringer because I have on like the emergency bypass for your numbers. And yeah, was sitting there in bed like midnight, bring. I was up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, no, Jordan, no, I'm not joining a phone call.
Sorry.
Okay, so for that voicemail, so Chase had a conversation with someone. They didn't like his voicemail. I'll play the voicemail here.
You reached the voicemail box of Chase
Chase's
Barber
actual
from Edison
voicemail.
Motors. Don't leave a voicemail because I'm not going to read it or ever really hear it. Shoot me a text instead. It's 2022. Texting's available. I'll see that. I'll get right back to it immediately. We'll go with that. Or I'll see that like I missed your call on the caller ID, and it'll say missed call, and I'll hit call back on that missed call, or go with that option too. But like, I'm never going to listen to this voicemail box thing ever. Like, the only time I'll listen to a voicemail is just to get rid of the little icon that says voicemail. Like, it's like the most inefficient way of leaving a message. Because even if I hear the message, then I got to figure out what call made that message. By the time I go through there, enter the password, listen to the message, then try and get the number, realize I didn't have a pen to write down the number because I used my phone as the notes thing. Then I can't write down the number, and then I got to find a pen and hit repeat and re-listen to it. And by the time I finally do that, I realize that I've already talked to you like a week ago because I just did the callback thing from the number. Like, you can't disable it. For some reason, you just can't
After leaving a message, you can hang up.
That seems like a reasonable voicemail message to me. Like, totally reasonable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like Canada's Top Clean 50 award. And the guy that runs it's like, we were going to give you like a top 50 clean award, but your voicemail's too unprofessional. Like,
That's so ridiculous. That's
no,
so
fuck
ridiculous.
off.
Like, and it's fine, and like it's not like off the start. You're like, hey, like just send me a text. I'll get back to you. Just do that. Okay, hang up, send you a text. But why get mad about it? I don't know.
They're like, oh, it just goes on too long, and then you're like that's the point. Don't leave a voicemail. Like,
Yeah.
if you haven't figured that out a minute and a half in to not leave a voicemail, I don't know what to tell you.
It's to deter you.
The guy
from
was like
leaving a voicemail.
super annoyed that he had to wait so long to leave a voicemail, and he still left a voicemail after all of that. Like, dude, like no text message, no mixed text message, still left a voicemail, and then was unhappy that I didn't call him back immediately on a Saturday. Like, dude, you left a voicemail. I don't answer random ass numbers on a Saturday and all that. Like, fuck that. Like, who
Yeah.
does?
No.
Oh, right, dusty
I
old
think that's
Joe
your
Biden
guess.
types that are way too old. Right.
So, okay, so our guest here, and we're gonna get into it with a little bit with Joel, mostly because the audio keeps jumping in and out. Darren,
Yeah.
project process of elimination there.
You
But-
notice that?
I did notice that.
I've
But
seen it,
Joel,
yeah.
you have a nice truck, and Edison has a new thing. We're not hiring random shitty companies who are gonna toss the loads around. We're hiring guys with nice trucks to haul our stuff.
I've seen that. Thank you. Appreciate it. She's a pride and joy, I guess you could say. It's a lot of work, but no, I'm happy. It's the best way to do her, though, because, someone takes care of the stuff they're doing when their truck, shows the appreciation of the driver kind of thing. Kind of reflects your work ethic, per se.
100%.
Because, yes, you don't want some...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
like some
we
random
got-
truck is all
Yeah,
beat
we got some
down.
audio problems here with Joel.
Joel, you had you were on with your phone earlier. Now you're on your iPad.
Yes,
is
sir.
that correct?
Yeah, the audio really sucks.
We gotta kick you off. And can you come back with your phone because it's really bad. Can you try
Absolutely.
that?
2 seconds.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna give you the boot and come
Sorry
back.
for everyone watching live or listening to the
Yeah.
podcast later. But
Yeah, so
we want them to have
me
a
and-
good listening experience, so we gotta cut that out when the audio is
Joel and I were having some tests earlier, and we were trying to figure out what was better, and he couldn't hear the sound, so he came on it with his iPad. But for you audio only people, that would be horrible to listen to.
Yes, I will actually. I haven't been editing these. I will go in and I'll probably edit a bit of Joel's part. So, oh,
Good.
Chase, that's a nice background you got there.
Thanks. I've realized you can play around with these.
I love the sleeper. The video you put online, the sleeper. I'm a huge fan of smaller sleepers. Yes, the convenience of you go into a Volvo sleeper.
We're not
And
making that kind of truck, though.
We're not for that. Exactly. You're the guy who might use your sleeper. You're usually a hotel guy. You're not a daily highway tractor, need a big sleeper. You're if I have to, I got it.
Yeah, if I have to and I'm in a bind, I got a sleeper. But if not, guys, I could have some storage area. I think a little the 36-inch sleeper, in my opinion, is still really, really nice. Still lets you shorten that wheelbase or put on more rigging, a bigger body job. No hydrovac needs a 68-inch, 80-inch sleeper.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, and it looks so clean. I love those videos and the concept. What I like about the concept stuff is because companies do concept stuff, and we did a lot of early concept stuff, and we made it look the exact same. We can do it. So it's hey, let's face or go
That's a
around
lot
the
better.
ideas. That's better.
Better? Okay.
There, Joel's back.
So,
Good.
sorry, we were talking about Joel and your very nice semi.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Did we
Thanks
give
for
Joel
that
the
stuff.
proper introduction? So those of you who might recognize Joel or not, Joel is the guy who hauled Carl to
There
both
we go.
Lethbridge and to Vancouver. He saved our ass. He's volunteering his time. He doesn't get paid for that. And he just brought his truck over, and for the good of the team and for his support of Edison, really hooked us up. And
Absolutely.
so Joel, who are you? You're
Well,
Joel.
Yeah, Joel. But no, just another truck driver from Alberta. I've been doing it. Well, I guess my old man started Royal in 2012, just before 2012, before the collapse there. I've only had my class 1 since November last year.
Wow.
I haven't been I'm not a old school trucker with a lot of hours behind the wheel per se, but I've been around in and underneath trucks. And
You
those
wouldn't
little
know it
girls.
riding with you. Joel's
Yeah.
a really good driver.
No,
it's,
I would have never known.
It's like an art per se. My old man's an old school trucker, so if I didn't have it down in the book, he'd be a little disappointed per se, I guess.
Yeah. You probably didn't need to expose yourself saying November last year. Should have been 20 years now.
But yeah.
With overtime 30.
No,
I thought I was doing good in my first year becoming a winch tractor wheeler hand, but here's Joel. He's hauling Carl around to truck shows and whatnot. I think that's a little more prestigious than what I was doing.
Yeah, downtown Vancouver nonetheless. That was interesting for that truck, that's for sure.
Well, we looked around hard to find anybody that'll haul things for us. It was Royal, and then looking to haul Topsy into Ontario. My big request, I'm hey, it's got to be somebody with a pre-99 paper log, nice highway tractor. Because I really do believe that if your truck looks good and you stand behind your rig, you take pride in your ride, you take pride in the work, you're probably doing a better job than somebody that doesn't care what his truck is.
Yeah, the average steering wheel holder pretty much.
Well, after that whole issue, we don't need to get into it again because we get very angry. But after that whole issue, just not again. Not again.
So
Yeah.
with your dad owning Royal Oilfield Hauling, which we have to give a huge shout out and props to, what did you like spend a lot of time around the shop? Did you do mechanics type stuff or what?
A little bit of everything. Like I started in the shop just turning wrenches. I was a second year mechanic apprentice, like heavy duty mechanic apprentice, and then that was like pre-COVID, so I didn't end up going to school. Then after that, I just started swamping on the back of the bed a little bit more often, and then kind of leaned away from doing the wrench pulling and just pretty much into drive. Like I've been, I don't know, like kind of like the jack of all trades, I guess. Like I've done everything. I've done all of our welding. Like we built our own garbage bins a couple years ago. I did all that with my old man. So it's a little bit. I would like to say I'm just a truck driver, but I've done almost everything to do with trucks, like engine swaps. Like the truck I drive now, we fully did that one ourselves in the shop with all the chrome, the lights, everything else. Same as my dad's truck. Like we do all of our own. A little bit like we don't just drive, park a truck, get out, go home. Like we drive, maintain it, fix it, do our own engine swaps, all that good stuff. So it's a little bit of everything, I guess you can say.
Mm-hmm. So you've been around trucks a long time then. It's not like you just got your class 1 November, started driving. Like you've been.
No, I got pictures of me as like not even a year old sitting on the dash of my dad's W900 when he was leaving the house to go do a rig move, and then I even redid that picture like 20 years later with my feet out the window one side, my head almost out the window the other on the dash.
I gotta ask then, what did take so long to get your class 1? I you thought you'd have it like just after 18.
My insurance. I was in high school. I drove like a complete banshee, and my insurance was just through the roof. So we had to wait for that, and then my insurance wasn't quite cleaned right up, but it's like significantly less than what it was, and then we just couldn't find drivers. That was a hard time. It's almost impossible to find drivers that are drivers, not just a guy that gets in the truck, holds the wheel, beats the wheels off, and goes home kind of thing. So my dad just kind of had to pull a trigger and send me to my class 1 program, which was, I think it's like $13,000 to get your class 1 now in 6 weeks.
Ooh, yeah,
that is nuts.
Yeah, I really have some problems with that program.
Oh, they don't teach you nothing. Like I asked them, like the air brakes course, I was asking them about just, even though I already know, I was just throwing it out there just because he wasn't teaching much. And I was talking about like overcamming brakes and stuff like that, and how to set your own slack adjusters, even though it, some people say it kind of ruins them or whatever. And they don't teach guys how to do tire chains. They don't teach you how to, what to do in like an emergency situation. It's just, here's how you drive. Here's how you can back up in a blind spot, and away you go.
Well, is it more like
I talked to a guy, and he said they spent an hour teaching how to get in and out of the truck with 3-point contact.
Oh, yeah.
An hour on how to get in. I'm sorry, but if you don't know, you can't figure out how to get into the truck, you probably shouldn't be allowed to drive the truck. Like if you can't figure out that one on your own.
No, it's pretty bad. I heard for like the guy I know who just took it, was more about passing the test than like being a driver. Like it's like, hey, here's what gets you through your test, not actually driving.
And the problem is, and it's not true for everyone, of course, or I'm probably going to get in shit for saying it, but it's become an EI production mill. Like, when you got those bums on EI,
yeah,
it's cheaper than sending them in for a lot of other courses. And it's so expensive now that the farm kids aren't just borrowing their dad's truck and getting their class 1. They're like, that's a lot of money now. I can't just take my buddy's truck and get a license. Like, I'm a farm kid. This is what I do. I don't want to go take a course. And what's happening is the government's saying, oh, okay, well, you're on EI. You can't work and you're basically unemployable anywhere. Let's put you into this milk program. And we're getting a lot of drivers that are EI bums, and they're not good drivers. That's not saying that's true about everyone, God, but I feel like there's obviously a lot of good ones, but there's a lot of shitty ones in here too.
Yeah, the company I work with, they like the contract for here, they started paying guys, not paying them, but they'll pay for the course. And then it's like, hey, you sign a thing for 2 years after. And if you want out, you just got to pay it back. Like it's
fair.
It's I think it's kind of fair because it's like, hey, you get your class 1, you got to put in 2 years. In the grand scheme of your life, 2 years, you're getting paid for 2 years really good. As a trucker in Manitoba, the wages have gone up quite a lot. So it's like, you got a good job, you get your class 1, just do it. And if you want out after a year, I think it was only $10,000 in Manitoba still, so it's $5,000 after a year to pay off, go somewhere else.
Honestly, if we had more time, and if we grew a little bit, I would love for Edison to be able to like qualify for the melt so that we can teach people how to drive and just take them out logging and low bedding and like show them actual driving skills.
Well, this guy just came out of a driving school, and he's a super good dude. And he just came out of driving school, and he's like, okay, so for my trailer, opposite of the mirror, and he was like going off like his school stuff. I was like, is that how they taught you? Not just like, oh my god, like just practice a bit. Why do you have to like think about it so hard? Like, I'm so confused.
That kind of leads into Chase and I. Our next year we should be in the UK, and we're gonna go do a driving school over there.
Oh yeah, like Joel's coming with us. Jordan, of course, you're invited. Sorry, it's the first time we mentioned it to Jordan, but we're gonna head over to the UK. Nathan with City Driver Training is going to put us into our HGV Arctic training for the UK. We looked at all the rules, requirements. He can do it. He can train us. So we're going to go learn how to drive truck in Europe. And I mean, that's for a couple days. And then the other reason we want to go see some production factories. So we reached out to some truck manufacturers, and we just want to see how they make their trucks in Europe. I want to take a couple guys from the design team and show them, be like, hey, look, this is Europe's 10 years ahead of us. Have a look at what's on the cutting edge. See if there's any ideas that you like or anything that's being done with like soundproofing, comfortability of the ride, because those trucks are really, really comfortable. Take a little bit of best of both worlds. So I feel like it wouldn't be the worst thing to show people how they do it in Europe. And Theron's getting married, so we're having a bachelor party out of it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're going over for my wedding, and this is my bachelor party. So Joel, I'll send you the wedding invite. You'll have to sign up if you are going to do it. And but it is, and we're going to go to an electric car supercar facility. Chase disappeared there for a sec, but we're doing that too, right? We got to go see like electric McLarens or something like that.
Yeah, we're gonna go check out some electric high performance cars. You betcha.
What
drive them?
Isn't DAF over there or?
DAF? Yeah, DAF up in Leland. I've actually been to their factory before, so I'll see if we can set up another factory tour. And I want to go to Scania.
You should probably avoid Ford if they have any stuff in that show, because I don't think you're allowed to drive their vehicles.
We'll get banned from.
I still can't believe that we got banned from like Edison Motors employees got banned for test driving Fords. Like that's just a company-wide ban for Edison employees test driving Fords.
We didn't really. I brought it up with Big Easy there, but we didn't really talk to it. I didn't know how much we wanted to disclose, but it was Chase and Joel and me that were with them. Joel's got footage too, but do you guys want to talk about that at all?
Well, yeah, we can go into. You know what? I felt like that guy was a little bit overreacting. Like,
yeah, that was a lot.
Like, the worst thing that happened was like Big Easy, like got it up to 70 in a 50 zone, and then a crackhead walked out in front of the truck, so he had to like slam on the brakes. But like, I'm sorry, but like if a meth head walks in front of you, he's like, you were going too fast. And he's like, well, that was 20 over. Like 20 over on a test drive is not that bad. And then he got mad at me. He's like, the speed limit was 80, long ass straight stretch. He's like, make sure you don't go over 80. And I hit 120. And he's like, oh, that's not good. That's not like.
Yeah. He's probably worried about
what it does, right?
Like,
if you're gonna test
40 over. It was in a parking lot with literally like next to a service road, next to a giant ass parking lot with literally nobody else around. Like,
yeah.
No, he had a rough morning. I think something must have happened there because we were the first test drive of the day.
We happened. Like, I think he was in a good mood up until our test drive.
It probably started when Big Easy gets in and asks him what eye he should be out of.
I did my test drive. Big Easy's got a couple of lazy eyes. One eye looks each way. He gets in there, takes off his sunglasses. He's like, what eye would you like me to use? And then hits the throttle and drives immediately into the, like, they have like a row of cones, drives immediately into the row of cones and like, oh, sorry, I was looking out of my bad eye.
And he goes to leave out of the entry. Like, he went backwards, which was kind of a little funny because we just did the course. Like, he knew which way to go, but he went to leave the wrong way. And it was just a bunch of red flags right off the bat.
Yeah, before we even left the building.
And then he speeds up to 70, has to slam on that brake for these downtown east side meth heads. And he wasn't happy, but the guy's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, We're test driving the new Ford Lightning. Yeah, they're giving away free test drives at the Fully Charged show. You should come down here. Take these things out for a spin. I'm yelling at all like the crackheads on East Hastings.
Yeah.
Come drive a Lightning. They're awesome. He's like, okay. Guy from Ford's like, no. Like he's trying to find like a politically correct way to say like,
no.
Don't invite the East Hastings guys.
Don't talk about the crackheads.
Please don't invite crackheads to the test drive. And then like all of this. He's sitting there. He's like, "Oh my god! At least it's almost done. Like, at least it's almost done." And then Eric phones me, unaware that we were even on a test drive. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, we're test driving the Ford Lightning." And he's like, "Oh, nice. Me and Brancis are scheduled for another test drive, like at 10:40." I'm like, "Oh, that's the next test drive." So I go to the guy driving Ford. I'm like, "Don't worry, guys. Another couple Edison guys are in your next one." He's like, he didn't say a damn word the whole way back.
No, he was pretty upset. He wasn't having a good time. But he was squawking the tires inside. That got him riled right up too.
He got so mad that I jerked the tires in the side. Like, and it was bare. It's not even I laid a huge patch of rubber. I just spun the tires a little bit.
Yeah, he's probably just worried you were gonna waste all the battery. Like, we only got enough for a little bit of a drive.
In my defense, I also roasted the tires on our truck inside, so it's not like I'm just like, oh, it's Ford. I also did our truck.
Yeah,
no, that's right. You gotta include everybody.
That video was pretty sweet of the Edison truck roasting tires.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't wait to see that Ford Lightning video. We got to get that up here soon.
So it's all documented, that experience.
And the whole thing. There's a surprise coming. I guess with the people on the live, we can probably say it's like, so while the truck is off testing, and then we're doing our test driving and learning what we like and doing the re-engineering, we got about a 6 to 8 month lead time. It's probably about 8 months before we can start on the next truck's builds. And while we do that, we've already been working on it, and I'm pretty sure we can get a set of e-axles for a pickup, talk with the suppliers, and we can do up an electric retrofit kit for a pickup. Everyone has been screaming on it. We've been working on it, already talked with our suppliers, some battery people. It's way less because it's just a pickup truck. So we like a drop in. Oh yeah.
What's the donor truck?
We haven't picked a donor yet.
Old Chevy.
I think more guys. Like, I'm a Chevy guy, but more guys.
You gotta do like a Smokey and the Bandit setup. Find like an old.
Okay. I could see like a single axle dually Ford, just something nasty like that.
Whoop.
I'd be down for that.
I dropped my coffee.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. No.
I done her.
Oh yeah. No, that was poor. At least it's video, so everyone can see that now.
Yeah.
Used to be these things would happen on the TikTok. We never noticed.
Chase is gonna get electrocuted here. Just all the technology in that room.
You guys just keep talking. I got this.
I don't know.
Before we move on too much, let's hear about Joel and the Fully Charged show. How was that experience for you? What did you think about it?
Oh, it was cool. It was certainly a lot different than Lethbridge's truck show. That was for sure. Definitely. I didn't think we'd be underground like we were when we went to unload. I thought it would have been like easier truck accessible. But no, it was a crazy experience. It was definitely something different to be a part of, especially being, a bush driver from Alberta, going to downtown Vancouver to look at all these EV trucks and cars. But
it was pretty. Sorry, it was like going. You brought Carl to an actual truck show where we are known quite well. But where do you think we had more of a crowd or more of a following? Was it the truck show or the Fully Charged?
Honestly, it's probably Fully Charged, I think.
That was pretty weird.
It was wild. Like, I've never seen so many people, even just standing at the door while I was just standing at the booth kind of thing. Like, a lot of people come and instantly know what it is. Like, in Lethbridge, like, a lot of people didn't know what it was in Lethbridge, but it was, like, insane compared to Vancouver. Like, there's a lot of people there. Like, even when I went to walk around for, like, lunch, they'd see the hat and they'd mention Edison Motors. Like, they knew what it was all about. Like, there's a lot more eyes on it, I guess you could say, at Vancouver. Like, I even met a kid that was from Olds. Like, he's like an hour from where I am. He came all the way out there to even go to the show just to look at it. Like, all the way from Olds, Alberta to Vancouver. So I think crazy. Vancouver takes a ticket for sure.
Going to truck shows and everything, would always consider that more of our wheelhouse. And going to an OEM electric show would be out of our wheelhouse. But after going there, I think that that's kind of changed, and that is like that's kind of like our wheelhouse. Like
I don't know. I
that's
still
pretty
like
cool.
the truck shows. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I would rather go to a truck show than an OEM show, because then we get to hang out with like truckers and like truckers, loggers, rig movers, farmers. Like those are the people I would much rather hang out with than.
Yeah, as long as they're the truckers that get it though, because there's still the odd trucker who doesn't get it.
I mean,
I saw a TikTok. I gotta tell you about a TikTok I seen.
Yeah.
This guy, it was like he stitched it with you, and he was like he started bashing Edison. I was like, well, let's see if he actually makes a good point. Because say he made a good point, well, it's worth hearing out. No, this guy was like pretty dumb. But the funniest thing he said was when he was talking about the generator. He's like, yeah, so this truck, not very big batteries. So what? You take out the generator. What do you got then? Barely any runtime. And I was like, what? Like, that's the whole point. Like,
I saw that.
Yeah, you saw the case. Like, yeah, take out the generator. What do you have left? It's like, well, that's the whole point is to have the generator. Like, how dumb are you? He thought he was making a good point too. He thought he was like saying something like, hey, get this.
No, I think he was trolling. 100%.
Maybe.
That guy was just winding people up, and he was getting people going in the. And then
I thought that might be
responded in that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is just a really dumb take or this is the greatest troll ever.
If it was,
and then he responded back, and he's like, yeah, I just really like getting people wound up. So
maybe it was that one because I was like, this guy can't be serious. So maybe he wasn't, but wow, it got me.
There's lots of people that still don't understand the concept, though. Like, there's lots of sellers out there that hate it just because they don't understand it yet, kind of thing. So, I mean, I read the comments on like a lot of the videos too, and there's a lot of people like that, especially on like Facebook and stuff too. Even like it's I don't know, it's not too hard to grasp, but there are a lot of, like Chase says, boomers that don't really want to accept change. I think is what it is. They think we're reinventing the wheel just by doing a wheeled locomotive, really.
Yeah.
I like some of the comments. You basically built a Prius. There's no way that a Prius can move heavy weight. Like,
yeah.
Electric motors don't have torque and power. Like, what?
Yeah.
How do you?
Who says
No,
these things?
locomotives and like haul trucks. Yeah, no, those don't haul much weight.
You know, I don't think freight trains have that much power. So fair point.
Before we get too far away from the fully charged here, you got to tell about the discussion we had as a team about Joel running his Jake brake through Vancouver on the way there, and then Chase's like executive decision to just let her buck.
Nigel, one of the guys on our team, and I mean he's a more cautious guy, which is fair. It's what you need.
Professionalism.
Yeah, he's all about the professionalism. He's like, hey, we're going into an EV show. He's like, I don't want to hear any Jake brakes. Like, we shouldn't be Jake braking and blowing the train horns and making all kinds of noise. And I mean, Joel's got a big old straight pipe with a cat. It just sounds beautiful. And I'm like,
can't hide it.
Okay, Nigel. Yeah, no, sounds good. Hop in the truck with Joel. I'm like, let her balk the whole way.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Like, I understand it though, because it is loud. Like, it is insane, especially for downtown Vancouver. But that's also, from my perspective, the point. You know, you get everyone looking, stuff like that. You can hear people. You can hear it coming from a block and a half away. You're gonna look.
How was the response? Like, were people like
you said people give you a with wave? Their fingers in their ears?
Oh yeah. Like, there's people covering their ears while they're going by. Like, some meth head screamed at me when I was going through an intersection. Like, there's some mixed reviews, but no, they definitely seen us coming. That's for sure.
Asian ladies sitting there just going by for the smoke.
Yeah.
This is.
It was something.
Oh, hey, there's comments that come in here.
Yeah, no, I can pop
There's
them
a whole
up.
thing of comments, man.
So you can just highlight them. So this is, I just highlighted this one from a Wildly Coyote who brought up the Jake brake on Topsy thing. And you, just because we kind of are working on that, right?
Yeah, so we don't have that programmed in yet because the way we got this truck, it doesn't have the Jake heads on it. So we're going to have to put the Jake heads on. And then that's one of the things we're working on is figuring out those programming. We got to talk to Dan Foss, who made the generator, and then get the protocol to get the generator to be able to apply power to it. But yes, it's working on it. Topsy will have it eventually. Our production trucks will have it. I think we kind of all sat there and talked as a team, and we agreed that the Jake brake to eat up extra power, like if your batteries are full and you're trying to regen, having the Jake brake eat the power is a lot better than a resistive load bank.
Mhm.
Also, because we like a resistive load bank is just a big heating unit. We did the math on the cooling calculation. It's like, holy fuck, we need to make the radiator, double the size just to cool the resistive load bank. I'm like, that's stupid. Just send it up through the Jake brake and out the exhaust pipe is heat.
That's pretty
And
sweet.
everyone loves a Jake brake. That's just gonna get
Yeah.
everyone all excited for it too.
Plus, we have the ability to make it on demand. So if you want a feature, we can put in like a manual Jake brake toggle where I can like flip a button and make the Jake brake come on.
You could be accelerating and jaking.
Yeah. As you're pulling away from a set of lights. We're like, huh, why is our fuel economy so shit? Wow. You run the generator full out for 20 minutes, and then you run your Jake brake full out for 10 minutes, then you run your Jake brake.
Just driving around with your Jake on all the time.
Either full revved on the throttle or full on the Jakes.
Oh, it'd be sweet.
I mean, that's pretty well how I drive anyways, but
yeah,
you're definitely not taking advantage of the fuel economy.
No, that's right. It never comes into consideration. But no, it'd be kind of cool to see though. You gotta do a hood stack though for sure. Still,
I think a dirty hood stack would be a wicked sweet way to go.
For production, I don't know. For Topsy,
For
I think
Topsy,
so.
yeah. I think we've showed off the EV side. We're gonna be doing a big meet and greet with potential truck buyers on the 12th. I feel like after the 12th, we just hood stack that thing.
Yeah, after they sign,
or when we get it back from BC. But I mean, we can run set of pipes, dirty side dump, grass burner. Like it doesn't matter where we actually run it. And the cool thing about Topsy is like all the panels on the truck are removable. So if we do want to reroute it for a show, we can just make another piece of sheet metal, put it on there, bolt it on there, and then 90 it down into another pipe. Like we could just probably switch up the exhaust routing in a couple hours, depending on how we want it to do.
Depending on what kind of show you're going to. Truck show, hood stack. EV show, no hood stack.
So we should talk about that for a little bit. So Chase, I got the email today. You have booked our tickets we're going over there for a week. So
Eric did, yeah.
So we're going over to continue testing on Topsy, have business meetings, and then the investor type business meeting. But are we going to be doing a meet and greet then? We were talking about October 14th.
Yeah, October 14th in Toronto. We're going to be doing a big meet and greet. I just haven't figured out the location yet.
What are tickets like to Toronto? Maybe I should hop on down there.
I don't think they're going to be too bad.
All three of us return. I think it was like just over $2,000. So what's that a piece? 700.
I mean, also like I think Eric booked the wrong tickets because when either that or they went up because when I was booking the tickets, they were like $1,200 for 3 people. I don't know how we got up to like.
Were you guys Flair or WestJet?
Flair.
Yeah.
Flair
so
is
interesting.
Truly,
did those guys
awesome?
Did the guys message you back or give you a phone call? The people that offered to shop, we've had a few people offer their properties up for us to do meet and greets there.
Oh, really?
Did they? Yeah. Did they ever call you? That one people you said give them their number?
No.
You would remember that. Yeah, I've had a few. They were all within like maybe an hour radius, but that last one was pretty close. So I guess when we get more knowledge, we'll kind of work on that and we'll let all you followers know. We'll post about it on our social media when we have a proper place. I was saying in front of CH Logistics, but that's not this week. We'll do that another time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jordan, the price of a round trip flight out of Winnipeg to Toronto was $138.
Oh, damn.
I'd book that. I'd book that. I would book that like right now. We'll see. I could come for the weekend. I should do it. It's been a while. Anyways, I don't know. Joel, tell us some of the crazy shit you've hauled.
Nothing crazy yet. Honestly, it's been relatively chill. Like, I've been to some crazy places. Like there's a gold mine up in northern BC we went to in the winter, and we hauled a 490, I think it was, something like that. 14K off the highway, way in the bush. I think we went 18 hours with no phone service. Like it's just way in the boonies kind of.
Those are always the sketchy drives. I grew up always around phones. Not having phone service is like.
Well, especially when anything bad can happen. Like trucks are, like in general, no matter how well you take care of it, they're problematic. Like there's always gonna be something that's gonna happen. And I always like to plan that something bad's gonna happen. So being 18 hours no phone service was kind of a little bit different. Like I don't got a satellite phone. I didn't have one or nothing like that for that trip. But nothing did happen. But there's so much ice and snow because it's like kind of like the middle of January, early January. I had to run 3 sets of tire chains for 160 kilometers down the highway. Like it was wild. Like it was, and like the road was super narrow. Like it was like a little bush road, so it wasn't 2 lanes wide. It was like maybe, I don't know, 14 feet wide with like a couple pullouts here and there kind of thing.
Yeah, the low bed scraping the snow on both sides.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. Like the snowbanks on each side of the road were about 15 feet taller than my truck. Like it was wild.
Yeah.
Like the rock
Sketchy
truck I was
spots.
hauling was still even underneath how deep the snowbanks were. But
Sorry, I had to highlight a comment. I thought that one was pretty funny.
oh yeah,
The text DOT.
Yeah.
Text dot. He's a decision maker tier there. He's in their YouTube members as a decision maker. He's pretty cool. He's actually got Edison Motors mud flaps, rocking them in Texas there. And it's funny because someone sent us a picture of. He's like, I seen these Edison Motor mud flaps in Texas. And I was like, oh, that's TextDot, because I already knew. I mailed them to him, so I knew exactly who it was. So I sent him showed him where he got tagged in it. Yeah.
Chase can make this decision here too. I'm thinking Edison Motor flags because I could set one up behind me here.
I like
flags.
that.
I'd have a flag.
That's not a bad. I want to get into more work gear, like more,
actual gear.
Yeah. Like I feel like a set of coveralls that had like a nice little like Edison Motors thing on the patch, and then a "fuck Tesla" on the back. Like a nice set of FR coveralls that said "fuck Tesla," because I bet you would sell a bunch of those in the oil patch.
Like lightning bolt, high vis on the back of it or something like that.
Yeah.
That and more merch where personally I'd love to know people's opinion, but I like a smaller logo than like. Even I don't like wearing like the giant logos of Edison. Yeah.
Like, I don't mind the hoodies, but like the t-shirt, like you feel like the logo and stuff.
I feel like a dick. I feel like I'm like, oh, this is too much. But like some nice like work flannel with like some subtle Edison Motors, like maybe a nice piece of leather on the patch with like the leather E on some good solid.
Like I got the new Tucson. It's just a nice leather.
And the black hats have always been the same thing. Like with the black hat, it's just the little logo in the corner.
That's way classier. Like more gear like that, I think.
Darren, your model. Oh.
Yeah. So and while we're there, so these Tukes, they just hit our merch store a few days ago, and they're pretty sweet. It's 50% merino wool or whatever it is, and then it's got like polyester, so they stretch. When I first got it, was super tight. I was like, "Oh, this isn't me comfortable," and I just stretched it out. Now it fits awesome, but it's super warm. I'm like
definitely
sweating my balls here. I'd take it off if I wasn't so bald.
We've learned a lot too about clothing. There's all sorts of like thicknesses and all that, and like what you buy for clothing and like what you pay for. So like now we've started dealing more with like clothing manufacturers, like people that actually make and manufacture the hoodies, and they're like, what weight hoodie do you want? How thick do you want it? And we're learning that like a lot of the work clothes that are being sold, they're just ordering cheap work clothes. So I feel like Edison, screw it, let's order really thick work jackets, like flame resistant work.
I like that because I'm so tired. I went shopping the other day for some work clothes, and I remember buying work clothes 7-8 years ago from Carhartt. You were getting thick pants, and now I bought a few Carhartt pants and coveys, and it's like this is the shittiest quality pant you can get in this store. And it's like if Edison had, it is, and if Edison had better work clothes, like guys would be like, hey, like I'm actually like repping this brand, but their work clothes are actually much better. They last longer. Like,
I mean, it's on point for us. So I think on one of the next trips to China, we're going to have to go over there because let's be honest, it's all made in China. We're going to actually go to the factory and find like the toughest work clothes we possibly can, bring in like the work clothes that are going to last forever, and then have like a little Edison so that you know when you're buying an Edison sweater or hoodie, it's just going to be like a really tough, like flame resistant. You know, you can actually use it for work things the way blue collar use it for work. Like that's how our merch should be. So I think we're going to try and restructure this merch.
Yeah, no, I was depressed with
China.
These Carhartts I bought the other day. Like there's paper thin pant, and it's like when did this happen? Like just an old pair of denim jeans is thicker, better quality than this is. Like,
it's because they're trying to make more and more for less, and they're trying to maximize profits, and it's pissing me off. And I think we can do better merch. And like the factories will make it. They'll still make the high quality stuff. And if we go directly to the supplier, we found out like, yes, we've got to order like 300, 400 hoodies or jackets all at once. But I think we have the we'll be able to sell 300 jackets, especially like if they're high quality. And if you go to the actual manufacturer, the prices are less than you're paying for the junk stuff in the store. Like, are the margins great for us? No. But especially now that we learned that, holy crap, are they bending us people over?
Yeah, they are. It's ridiculous. I'm all for the heavy merch too. I like the hoodies and the sweaters and the t-shirts. We gotta keep that going too. But some
The
heavy
FR coveralls, like
heavy coveralls in there.
Yeah,
I'm down.
And we definitely need like a high vis shirt, high vis long sleeve. That's an easy one too. And like if I had an Edison one, I would.
I get those green high vis ones for the summer. Those little thin ones. Yeah, like little Edison logo on there. I'd buy a bunch of those.
Or even gloves, like good gloves, just stamp a badge on it, color a day even.
Some good gloves. Oh, what's that big Canada glove brand? It's very popular.
Stout.
No, maybe I can't remember.
All of the brands are just Alibaba resellers, though.
Honestly, like the go-kart at the show.
Go-kart, like, and that's the thing is like, I'll say we're going to China for like, hey, yeah, we're gonna go look at the manufacturers in China for clothes. But I'm real fucking honest about, hey, we're going to China because that's where all the clothes manufacturers are. I don't buy a thing and then be like, oh, what happened? I put the little Edison E, so this shirt was, this hat was manufactured in Canada. You're employing Canadian jobs because we put the little E in the corner of the shirt right there on our stitching line. So that's clearly Canadian. No, China still built it. We're at least honest about it, and we're at least willing to fly over there and inspect the quality of what's coming too.
People appreciate that though. Like I've talked to a lot of people who will mention like, oh yeah, like I you guys mentioned where you get parts from, stuff like that. But I'd rather that than have it found out later on, have it be a scandal where like, oh, guess what? Edison gets a bunch of stuff from China. It's like, no, like that's where everything's manufactured. We can't get it here. And if we can get it here, they're getting it from China and selling it to us. Like it's not like.
Well, and that's the thing is like we've looked for as many Canadian suppliers as possible in our build. I love supporting local domestic industry. But a lot of the times they reach out to us and they're like, oh, we're, yes, this is a Canadian made or American made product. And we're like, okay, let's have a look at it. Prove it. Can you prove it? What do you mean? Like, well, like, is it assembled here or is it actually made? And you find out that 90% of the time, like I'm getting really good at searching on Alibaba. And whenever someone's like, this is a Canadian part, I just research on Alibaba and be like, oh, no. It's not a Canadian made part. You just bought this shit from China. It's the same fucking thing. It's the same supplier. Like, it's why it makes it so annoying and so much of a pain in the ass when the people are like, oh, support Canada. All they're trying to say is, hey, I want to charge you a premium for lying to you. And like, there needs to be way more stricter fines for businesses that do that nowadays because it's getting really, really bad. Made in America. No, it was made in China and you put it in a fucking box in the US. That's not made in America.
Yeah.
I kind of looked up what it means to be made in Canada, and there's some flaws there too, because you can label something as made, because we did a video and we got a bunch of feedback from it, both positive and negative. People saying, oh, they thought we were against buying stuff from China, but we're not at all. We're just against people saying made in Canada. So I looked up like the definition of made in Canada. And one of the ways you can say it is if 51% of the expense on the thing is in Canada. So what you can do is you could buy some go-karts or golf carts or something, and you can just say you bought them for $500. If you spent $510 or $550 putting new a paint and upholstery on it, you can say it's made in Canada. But like the whole thing's from China, but you just put new leather on the seats.
Yeah,
and because you did it in Canada, it was expensive. Then you got your own leather guy too. So
well, those stuff that are so cheap, like these go karts that came, they maybe not 500, but probably like $1,000. Chase, you probably knew the price, and they're selling them for what, like 50 grand?
Yeah, like 4,500, and they're selling them for 40 to 50.
Like, yeah, sorry, 4,500. So yeah, you put another $5 grand into it, make it a little nicer, and then you're only 10 grand into it.
Yeah, let me share this screen. Here it is. Okay, share screen.
Oh boy.
Oh, he went into
there. You go.
Chase.
Chipmunk mode.
Yeah, chipmunk audio.
I'll add it to stage here. Question: what do you need? Does made in Canada really mean made in Canada? I need glasses. Can you guys read that? The states that last substantial transformation of the goods must occur in Canada. That a minimum percent of the total, 51% of made in Canada, it has to be the expense.
Yeah.
and or 98% is product of
Sorry,
Canada.
Chase, your audio is all chipmunky.
Oh, he's chipmunk again. Oh no. Oh, he's removed himself. He's gonna come back.
He'll come back. What happened last time that happened? Was
That's what happened. He did screen share and he went and turned into a chipmunk.
Yeah, Joel, don't screen share.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't even know how to do it. We're good.
Okay, there we go. But
There
doesn't
you go.
that that pisses me off? Literally, then to make it in Canada, 51% of the expense of the cost to make it must be in Canada. So if you bring something in for $1,000, you just got to pay $1,100, and then all of a sudden you can say it's made in Canada. That's bullshit. Especially because you're probably counting all of their cost of, oh, well, we had to take it out of the crate and we had to assemble it and like put the tires on it, and we pay our guys, who's also myself. Like you could hire yourself for $300 an hour to put it in there. Like,
but I also wonder, like, what shipping cost would it be paid through on this side of things?
No, it said direct cost of creation.
Okay,
but you could basically hire yourself to put on wheel nuts for $1,000 an hour, say that it took you 2 hours, and then say that's 51% of the cost is now made in Canada because I bill myself out at $2,000 an hour.
Well, you can go to the port and hire yourself as a hot shot to go to the port, and it'd just be, my trip down to the port was like 20 grand.
Like made in Canada should be that the entire thing has to be made and assembled in Canada. You can't just, like, I would say that over 75% of all assembly work is done in Canada. I think that would be fair. Like maybe little things like, the question is, how do you quantify it? Like, okay, I bought a turn signal. The turn signal is made in China. Okay, but I just bought that from CBS Parts. And then I went and, there's got to be a way to do it.
It's tough. And it's not, you can still use parts from overseas, Chinese parts, to do it. An example would be like, our truck was definitely made in Canada. What did we figure is 140,000 hours went into our prototype here, production prototype.
Yeah.
But we use Chinese e-axles. So, but we documented the whole thing about it. But there's no way that you could not say that that truck was not made in Canada.
Bet everything was. Oh, the frame rails were made in the U.S., but a bunch of the rest of the steel was made in China.
Yeah,
I bet the glass was made in China and shipped over in bulk, and then cut here. But I really think it should be over 50% of the parts on the assembly, or 60%. I put it at 60% of all parts that go into it go onto the vehicle here. Like, to be made in Canada, you have to at least have all of the parts, and you have to assemble at least 75% of all the parts here. Or even just say like 90%, 80% of all the parts need to be assembled. Like, I bought a turn signal. That's a turn signal. I assembled it onto the truck. Like, it's really frustrating because we have to compete with things like that when there's things like, we build our light towers and Michael does all the steel fabrication on them. Like our welder does all. We got a little fab shop down in Chilliwack and another fab shop in Logan Lake building our light tower frames now because China just couldn't deliver them. We tried China. I didn't like the lead times. I wasn't happy. We found out it was actually just better to hire Canadians. So we went back to that. And now I feel proud of, like, yes, this was cut, welded, painted, fabricated, assembled all in Canada. This is a made in Canada product, but I got to compete with the same person saying made in Canada on the go-karts.
Yeah, no, that's upsetting.
We should touch here just because we had a new member join, because you have to be a member on our YouTube channel to comment. I turned it members only comments because we just get a flood of them. And there's a brand new member and he put up a question. So let's just give him the benefit and just answering this question. So he said, will you do highways mapping on Topsy too? Because a Topsy like Chase's background would be a hell for a highway trucker. So he wants kind of a...
Yeah, we are working on like the highway mapping. Like, does he mean highway mapping for data? Like, we are working on mapping all of the trucks, like how heavy the truck is, what kind of weight you're pulling, where the state of your batteries are, where you're going to be charging, where you're going to be discharging, just to optimize the production, like so that the truck knows, hey, I'm coming down this big hill here. I want to make sure my batteries are empty, and the truck can control itself based on that for that highway application. Like, we are working on that. And on the highway truck, we're probably going to be 5 years off on an actual highway truck. 5 years at least. It's one of those things where the margins are very, very tight because all of them are cookie cutter produced.
And sorry, I was just gonna say, like with highway trucks, like we're going after vocational because a lot of guys are leaving, like Kenworth, Peterbilt, and they're pulling back from how much they put into vocational trucks. So it's like, well, let's go after that first, and then the diehard Edison guys are gonna want some highway tractors eventually, and we'll make those too.
Well, they don't make good off-road trucks anymore anyways. There's just a big empty spot there for durable off-road equipment. Like, it's no trucks built to last really anymore, like the way it is. Like, drive lines all blow out, stuff like that. They shake themselves apart kind of thing.
They're just not made the same they used to be.
About the highway mapping quickly before we move on. We actually there was a guy, David, and he came out and he is building this crazy system about mapping out like blocks and roads and getting it for EVs. And we did a video on it. I just looked up the video. It's called the Electric Truck Future. It's the future of electric trucks, and that's in our longer video. So we actually had like a 30-minute conversation that was super interesting with this guy, David, who will probably be working with us about mapping out all the electric data and route planning and like your burn of energy and how to conserve it and that. So it's called the future of electric trucks if you want to watch that video.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Anyways, I am gonna get running because I've got a cold here and I'm feeling like kind of shitty today.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to really lose my voice. So if I don't run here soon, I'm gonna totally lose it. But
okay, sounds good.
Good
I'll
talk
for a little bit.
Yep. So we'll do the outro here. And all right, guys.